And we're back to another life that nobody cares about, um, and isn't gonna watch. So, no, it's cool. So, the discussion that we were having right there,
With soup
right, uh, the soup right here.
prepared
No,
by
no, the point is we're
can't begin.
hmm, the discussion here is simple.
It's about
No, no, I'll tell you what it is. You don't know what it is. I've not told you yet.
no, but it's about tents
Okay,
in
fine,
India.
fair enough. Yes, it is about tense.
So no, but we have to give context that
That is what. Yeah, go for it.
Pranav
Hmm. That's me.
hates tents. This is their mortal enemy of tents.
Well, there are many
Is
others, but yes,
but mainly tents.
one of them. Yes,
Tents' mortal enemy is Pranav
that's
Basim.
correct.
They're
That's me again.
natural predators. They
That's
don't.
correct.
They can't stand each other. I mean, he can't stand tents. I don't know.
Am I the predator? Am I the
They are
prey? Oh,
probably.
okay. Yeah,
But yeah, so this is another anecdote about why Pranav hates tents.
that's me again.
Pranav Basim.
That's me.
Just don't ever give him, if you're ever in a position to give him housing,
Don't give me a tent.
never tents.
I'm gonna
Ever.
text my broker about that now. However, the point is, um,
Now, why?
no, the thing is that like we have spoken about going for like
Treks.
a trek together potentially someday, many a times. And the thing that stops me, or like not stops me, but like not stops me. The reason I completely don't give a flying fuck about going, is that the at the end of the day, after having like walked around, you have to
Oh,
go to a
Rohan is
fucking,
here.
you have to go live in a fucking tent in the evening. So my
Yeah,
this the whole,
he's great with the outdoor stuff and like actual trekking and walking and all of that and being in nature.
I can walk, yeah, but the
Being in
point
nature
is
is great,
the tent
but
does not work. However,
tents.
exactly, and don't get me wrong here. It's not that I've not lived in a tent. I've lived in a tent many fucking times. I've lived in tents for a very long. I've lived. I hate tents. Okay, I've since my childhood I've gone to many fucking like many camps, and I have trekked around. I've like cycled around Goa, and like I've gone on an expedition for that, and I've gone to Greece and stayed in a fucking tent in an island and all that stuff. Okay, and I hate tents every fucking time. They're horrible. All right, now my point here is that she somehow seems to be very interested in going for treks and does not mind tents, but I
I've
can't.
never stayed in a tent
That's
though,
the reason. That's
so
exactly my point here. Um, um, and my argument here really was that like is that like when you go into the wilderness, as we spoke about earlier, when we go into the wilderness as people who are from a city, you want to essentially pay a hotel person or like a resort person or like a whatever lodge person or whatever, so that you could get a place ideally that is making you feel as if you're living in nature but not really living in nature, like you're kind of like superior to nature, like you're kind of like away from it, you're kind of in a comfortable place that does not, when nature cannot really hurt you and touch you. That's where you want to be, right? And we've spent a lot of fucking years as as human beings in trying to like develop a way to get to do that, and tents essentially break that down into like extremely, you know, like a very sad version of that essentially. uh, Rohan Mehta says, can you poop in nature? Is that the problem? I mean,
yeah,
I,
that is a little bit of a problem for me at
I
least.
think the problem here is that I don't want to talk about it while we're drinking soup. However, I don't think that's the problem for me. I mean, I think that's okay. I think we can figure that out. I don't have a. I mean, we can figure that out. It's fine.
Okay, that's not your problem with
Not the
tents,
problem. No,
that they
but
don't
tents.
come with bathrooms.
Yeah, I want to feel like I'm secure while I'm sleeping. That's the difference. Like I don't want to feel like I'm in a cold plastic sheet that says that it's housing, but if you throw a rock on it, it'll potentially just fall apart. So I don't know if that's housing really. Um, yeah, might as well
So
just.
you don't fit in tents.
That's another thing. And I never carry sheets and stuff because I'm like, why the fuck would you carry a bed sheet or whatever? But like, you essentially you're wrapping yourself in like plastic, and I hate that feeling. However, another argument that I had here to present was that why tents really suck. And we spoke about this, right? Like we were talking about a house that we have currently, I currently have, my family has, where the house is still being developed, and we're talking about how to develop, how the house should really look. And we're speaking about how it should feel comfortable and safe, and should feel like, again, you should essentially feel like you're superior to nature, whilst you're in nature and you're looking at the place outside, but you feel like you're in a spot that feels comfortable and familiar to you. um
But you're completely protected from nature.
Exactly, you're not really in wilderness, because that's the thing. That's what you pay for. With the wilderness is free. Like literally, you have to pay nothing if you want to go to the wilderness. And here's the thing about the wilderness, right? And that's what I was trying to talk to you about here about. It's so free. Like you can take a fucking mat and you can sleep in the wilderness. You can stay in the forest, but we hate it so fucking much that look at the fucking the cities outside here, right? You see people living on the road. You see people living on the in the slums. You see people doing anything. They will die, but they will not take a chatai and go to this to the forest and live there. That's how bad. That's how horrible tents are. Because even the poor people sitting under the Jogeshwari flyover who can
Yeah.
potentially have a nice nature walk choose to stay in the noise. They're not
I
earning
don't think
shit
they're
out of anything.
choosing to
They pretty
stay.
much are. They could just walk. They could just go to. I don't think anybody's given this. This should be one of your ideas that you provide with your startup to the people. You know, maybe you should potentially consider it. Like just along with the sushi that you provide to poor people, you could potentially also tell them that hey, there's a fucking forest right there if you want to go and take a chatai. Um, but yeah, I mean, you can give them a paste. I don't know, like a Odomos tube. I mean, that should do it, right? That's pretty much what tents are. And I think that's all the argument was really. I just argue that tents should be banned. Not just banned, I think tents should be looked down upon. And as a society, we should look down upon people who stay in tents. And here at Apple, we how do you like them apples?
I wanted
I want a tent. No, that's how much I like tents. Yeah, that's the kind of that's that's so meta. That's so fucking meta. It's so cool because we're like we first go to the forest to and use a tent to make it feel like we're at home, and then we go home and we're like we want to go into a forest, so we just take a tent and we put it in so that we feel like it's in a forest. That's why they make these castles and shit, and like the pillow castles, and right, pillow castles are nice though. Like I could totally live in a pillow castle.
What about like a glamping tent? You
What
know,
is a
like
glamping?
from outside it's a tent. Then you go in and there's like a jacuzzi and
Yeah,
bed.
sure, exactly. That right there is a hybrid mutual fund. What you do essentially is you take the two ideas that we just spoke about, where you go into the forest and you set up a tent, and the idea that you go into a house and you set up a tent. You try to create a house there and you try to create a forest here. You kind of mix both up by the use of this very lovely physical technique that we have, which is called money. And you just kind of like build out this thing that looks like it's a forest, but it's a house, but it's a forest, but like you're a fucking traveler, but not really also because you're fucking cool and you're also rich, but like you're also like luxurious, like you're happy basically, but you're not really because you're depressed because you're alone also in this vast tent that why the fuck are you in a tent?
This podcast is sponsored by Tent.
Squarespace. That's Tents are also, by the way, square spaces because they literally look like that horrible, like it looks like a bad square. They're not really
I don't
triangles,
even
like
know.
they say they
I
can.
always thought it's a triangle. I've
They're
never seen
not
an actual tent though.
actually so far from this, man.
Yeah.
This conversation is like
I've never seen an
the
actual
thing,
tent in real life.
like one of those like the square, the triangular tents are like that mountain and house wala painting that people
That's what
make.
I imagine, like this
Like
tent,
yeah,
and you're just trying to get inside it, and your
yeah,
legs are just.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Like I think, but anyway, the point is, yeah, like they're never like triangular. They're like a weird square space. They are. They are. There's like, yeah. But wait? Your issue with the tent was the safety, right? How would jacuzzi solve it? No, no, no. She's talking about one of those tents that actually are not. Is not really a tent. She's talking about this idea where you essentially pay for a really luxurious stay in in a forest area where
It looks like a tent from outside, but it's
inside
essentially
is a
a
hotel.
hotel room.
Yeah. Um, that being said, uh, oh yeah, no. The other thing, I think the other problem is that like it does not stop humidity. Like I hate humidity so much that like with the air conditioning that I have, I put it on like on dry mode,
Dry.
but essentially like to dehumidify
Sucks
it.
out.
Exactly, and tents have no feature for that. So when you wake up, you're usually just waking up and like some dew on your. Why is that dew on your hand? That sort of thing. And
And it's just on the ground.
yeah, and there's no joy in waking up. That's the problem with it. Yeah, there's no joy. I don't know. For some reason, people think that you're gonna get up and then you're gonna open the zip up and it's gonna be a mountain with like
Yeah.
you know. Yeah. Nah, I was there just yesterday. The shit's not moved yet. That's how I feel.
Still.
Same.
Yeah. Igloos are not tents.
What about igloos?
Igloos are not tents. Absorb. And so it's actually like a jail cell, which is not terrible, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know anything about igloos personally. I tried building one in Maharashtra, but I don't know, it didn't last.
Uh,
Um, well, that's it for this episode of
tents.
Soup with what is this title called? I don't know. Do tell us what the title is. I forgot.
Coffee with sharma.
Sharma.
Why
Oh,
was
we
it
didn't. We changed that by the way. Called it something else eventually.
soup with charan?
I don't think we changed that either. I don't know. Whatever it is, that thing. No, maybe it is coffee or something. All right, cool. Thank you guys, and have a
Don't do tents.
don't do thanks.